See, all Trump has managed to do with his ridiculous Greenland obsession is further destroy America's relationships with some of our closest allies. And if left to it's left to serious lawmakers to try and pick up the pieces. Joining me now is one of those lawmakers, Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, is a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee who just returned home from Davos. There's so much to ask you about. Thank you for being here. First of all, I really just skimmed what was in the speech this morning. Let me start by asking you what your takeaway from all of that was.
Well, I was quite busy today, but I did have a chance in the car on my way to work to hear some of it, and it was jaw-dropping. And it shouldn't be. We should be used to this president by now, but fortunately we're not. We must not normalize this erratic, unhinged, untethered to reality behavior of the president. I thank you for that introduction and giving me some of the snippets of what was said. I know one of the great takeaways was the fact that he said military force is off the table. I put in parentheses for now, because this president is so erratic. By Friday, that could be back on the table. I just returned from Davos, but much more importantly, from 3 days in Copenhagen, where 10 of us, Democrats, Republicans, House and Senate members, met with the prime ministers of both Greenland, not Iceland, Greenland and Denmark, met with members of parliament from both areas, met with foreign ministers, met with business leaders, industry leaders. And what every one of them expressed to us was just devastation at the disrespect, the breach of trust, the breach of an alliance of 75 years. Denmark was a founding member, along with the United States, of NATO. They were the first to step up after 9/11. You know this stuff better than I, from your past experience, both in a White House and a State Department. The importance of our allies, our NATO allies. They could not understand, and frankly, we, as elected members of Congress, could not understand the president's ambitions and threats toward our NATO friend and ally.
It's such an important point that they came to our defense after 9/11, as NATO did. And when Trump keeps saying out there, they won't come join us, they won't be with us, that is one of the biggest examples, the biggest example in global history of NATO coming to the defense of a partner. And it was in response to a tragedy that happened on our own soil. The point you raised about distrust and trust, I hear this so often when I talk to former colleagues and national security officials, in the fear of kind of the damage done. It feels different than the first term. And I don't know if you may not have seen this, because I know you had a very busy day today, but one of the things that the Prime Minister of Canada said today, and they have been one of our oldest and closest and firmest friends forever, was that the international rules-based order is not only over, but false. He said, we are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. And as much as it may sound to people like, oh, it's Canada, there's so much going on here, this hugely matters. And it feels to me like it means it's an indication it's very hard to recover from this. But what do you think?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I told my team today, please print me out Mark Carney's speech, which I have read. I actually brought it sitting in the green room. It's a stunning speech. It's a strong speech from the middle countries, who feel disrespected, but they do not feel powerless. And they are not powerless. So I very much respect Mark Carney's words. And it's so sad that we've come to that point. Can you imagine our closest trading partner, Canada, one of our greatest trading partners, Denmark? When we go back, and we had the privilege of laying a wreath at the flame where the 50 names of those who died, Danish soldiers who died, people who were 40 years old, senior soldiers, down to young people who died in the service of our country. They fought and died along with us. So we were there to mark that. One of the most stunning things that we heard was from the Greenlandic members of parliament. And one of them said, do you know what's going on in our country, in our territory, on our beautiful, beautiful island? Our children are going to bed afraid, afraid of the Americans. They are sleepless. When planes came into the base, They said, is that the Americans coming to get us? Honest to God, this is our NATO ally of 75 years. The other inane things, the things that are so unhinged, the president revealed today in his comments. He is untethered to reality. He is uncaring about history. He couldn't care less about friendships, allies, partnerships, economic, geographic, political, military, whatever they are. And his idiotic, mistaken 4 or 5 times talking about Greenland, his obsession, and calling it Iceland. We're in a world of hurt. The good news is today that, fortunately, through that conversation, and this is literally what we did. As I said, Republican senators were with us, and Democratic senators, and members of the House, Democrats. And we said in meetings, private, closed, or even more open, there must be a framework to work this out. And then you saw a concept of a framework for this president. I'm reminded that, you know, that Hans Christian Andersen was the native son of Denmark. And he wrote the tale, The Emperor's New Clothes. And we know about that. I've thought about that so much, sadly, in the first administration and in this administration. I have a beautiful illustrated version of it, The Emperor's New Clothes. And you know what goes on there. The emperor wants the most gorgeous of suits. And so his courtiers hire thieves, frankly, and they show them on the loom this beautiful fabric, the most beautiful fabric of all. Of course, there's no fabric whatsoever. But the courtiers can't believe the truth because they're afraid to tell it to this mad emperor. And you know who tells the mad emperor? Children. As he walks through the streets and he's naked. The children of Denmark have called out the nakedness of this president, his naked ignorance of history and facts, of allies, of partners, of NATO, the nakedness of wanting to possess an ally. They're not an asset. They're an ally.
Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, now we're all going to think about that story. That's a chilling example and so on the nose. Thank you for bringing your knowledge of what's happening over there, some hope to all of us.
I have hope.
I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.